What's good, dog? How is everybody? I'm warning you right now, Carson and I have very different parents, okay? Different upbringings, okay? Same mustache, different side of the tracks. Any black... This stage. I'm already, dude, with the fucking crusade boat up here already. There's already a lot going on. Anyway. Any black sheep in the family in here tonight? Anyone consider, the black sheep? The black sheep of the family. The one who during the holidays, they kind of sneak out to the garage. All right? To smoke a joint, With their uncle who's been listening to Alex Jones since before 9/11, he's been talking about the globalists and fluoride since like 2003, and you're listening to him talk about it because it's his weed. You know what I mean? You gotta humor the guy. I was the black sheep of my family. I was the one though who decided to not sell drugs for a living, though. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. I come from criminals, dog. All right? For real. Both sides of my family, too. My dad, it's a really romantic story, actually, about how my parents met. My dad, he was a 17-year-old aspiring weed dealer, looking to make it big in the game. My mom, she came from 70s cocaine money. So when they met, white trash Romeo and Juliet, dog. Except that nobody died at the end, all right? They just went to jail. For real, when I was 12 years old, my parents, they got sentenced to 9 and 13 years in prison, dude. It's insane. So I was kind of destined to look like I know a guy. You know what I mean? And I do. All right, I fucking do. You guys can see me after the show. I'm not selling t-shirts, okay? I think you end up looking like this if in the early 2000s your parents owned an Escalade with spinners, but we're also on food stamps, okay? It's a money laundering joke, all right? No. You obviously learn different things growing up, like with drug dealer parents, Because are there any parents in here tonight? We got some parents in here, and a couple of you guys, shout out to the parents. Yeah, when you're raising your kid, you like to take it to places like the park. You know what I mean? So they can exercise, social interactions, learn about nature, like things like that, I was at the park growing up. But it was because my dad was selling the other dad's weed, dog. All right? Like, you're gonna learn different things in the environment that you put in. I realized early on that our family road trips, just us trafficking weed across state lines, dude. and like occasionally stopping at a Sinclair dinosaur for a picture. You know what I mean? Like capture the moment. No, dude. My family was classier than that, all right? We didn't stop at a Sinclair. We stopped at eventually, dude. All right? For real, they would traffic, this was the early 2000s, they trafficked the weed from Arizona up here to Iowa, all right? So if you're smoking on weed in the early 2000s, fucking, you're welcome, dude. It was because of us, okay? Which is, if you really think about it, it's kind of a funny visual, like the lifespan of that weed, all right? Like it's grown down in Mexico by people defending it with guns, all right? Brought over the border by people like risking their freedoms to take care of their families, Only to be like picked up by my parents and brought to the Midwest and sit in a hot car while I'm strapped to the silly silo, swinging it back and forth, dude. The weed that's strapped to me is like flying the other kids' faces or whatever. The weed's calling me a gringo from the parking lot, all right? Like it was wild, dude. No, I remember one of those lessons I learned early on. So this was early in I was born in Miami because drug dealers don't make a lot of good decisions. They get pregnant, hey, let's move to Miami. Not a great idea if you're gonna have kids. But down there, my dad had made some connections, right? As a drug dealer does, he makes some connections. And there was this guy who, what he would do is he would walk the beaches down in Miami all day long Because what the cartel would do is, to distract the feds, they would send in like kilos of cocaine in these packages, so the feds would all run down to Miami, check on it or whatever, and then they would bring the big load up to Tampa Bay. Well, my Uncle Tito, dude, you find one of those packages, you can walk the beach every day for 4 months and you're good to go, dude. You're making you don't need a full-time job, all right? That guy babysat us, okay? Multiple times, like a few times, all right? But what did I learn from Uncle Tito? Economics and opportunity, baby. Come on, all right? There's money to be made in this country, all right? Another lesson I learned growing up, because then you hear stories from all these like ragtag group of people your parents bring along, right? And then they want to tell you stories about how cool your parents are, because you know they're the ones at the top of the pyramid, you know. So maybe me and Carson do have something in common. My parents are at the top of the criminal pyramid. We weren't selling Mary Kay, I can promise. The fun thing called cocaine. Anyway, so I hear this story about my mom, all right? She's a gangster, dude. She's out one night with my dad. They made a trip back up to Iowa, and they're out at the bar with my dad's best friend, who was dating her best friend at the time, but the best friend wasn't out that night. And these girls start flirting with my dad's friend. And my mom, you guys can kind of pick it up. She's not going for that shit, dude. So she starts like talking shit to these girls. Well, after a while, they end up getting thrown out of the bar, you know, as one does. But I don't know if anyone's ever been in a bar fight here before, but the fight's not like over after you get thrown out of the bar, all right? So when they, no, at all. So, at all. You're gonna really like where this one goes. So the girls end up throwing my mom to the ground when they get outside because they're gonna kind of jump her. And one of the girls goes to punch my mom in the face, dude. And when she does that, a finger goes in her mouth, and my mom bit the chick's finger off, dog. Dahmered the bitch's finger right off, dude. Gone, all right? What did I learn out of that situation? What life lesson did I pull out of that? Clean your room, dude. Listen to mom. All right? She's gonna fuck your shit up. No, I didn't believe that story, but my aunt went for a job interview a few years later. The lady interviewing her was the lady, she still didn't have a finger, dude. They didn't sew it back on. So, like, insane, dude. This is all true, by the way. It's so crazy. The big life lesson that I got out of all this, all right? Things were kind of winding down towards the end. The feds were like hot on my parents' tail, all right? They've been building a case against him for a while, snitches, you know, stuff like that, so you guys can trust your boy, all right? Because I don't fuck with that shit. But my life at the time was going great, dude. I was coming out of 4th grade, going into 5th, okay? Yeah, I just found out the girl that I had a crush on all year long liked me back, dude. I wrote her a note, all right? I wrote her a note. I sent her a playlist. Top of the playlist. My Boo by Usher. It started when we were younger. You were mine. It always gives a couple of people. So yeah, fuck the rest of you guys. It worked, dude. I thought I should like you better, right? But my parents' big plan in all of this to get away from the feds was to hop the border and move us down to Mexico. Yeah, dude. Like I said, not very responsible decisions by your parents, dude. So my parents, you know, and I'm not gonna fault them for anything, you know, for any of this, because there's no one like writing a book of how to like raise kids when you sell drugs. You know what I mean? There's no like YouTube tutorial guide on how to explain to your kids what money laundering is. Like, there's no one making those videos. So my dad has to figure it out on the fly, you know? And so he knows the situation going on with this girl. He knows what he's about to break my heart, you know? So after they tell us that we're moving down to Mexico, he's got to figure it out on the fly. So he puts his arm around me, looks me dead in the eye. I swear to God, this is what he tells me. He said, Zach, I know you're heartbroken right now, but when we get down to Mexico, there's going to be a lot of cute Latinas who like English-speaking boys. And you know what I learned in that moment? Radical acceptance of your situation. I said, vámonos, papi! Let's go! being a drug dealer's kid though? Surprisingly, out of all this, the metric system, dog. Grams, kilos, I still don't get it, dude. I still don't get it. Anyway.